I'm opening the Speaking House because we've had these 2 years of withdrawal and shutdown of our society and our life, our social life, our ability to contact and be and play with each other. And now more than ever, we want to be with other people, to learn, to grow, to develop, to have fun, joy, excitement, all those good things of life. The Speaking House is there for the performing arts. And from that base, that's my particular speciality and love, you can actually work in almost every other curricular activity, whether it's mathematics or languages. The main difference between this place, the Speaking House, the Saturday classes, that's 5 90-minute classes on a Saturday. The main difference between that and existing performing arts schools is that the traditional ones that you can go to and have certain big names, I've taught in all of them in fact, they have a prescribed program which you have to follow. So it's all about follow my leader, it's about follow a specific package. It's not about personal creativity, personal development and growth. That's not so interesting to me. What is my goal is developing and maintaining and nurturing the innate creativity in each and every person. So when you come to my workshops, whether it's dance or song or acting or any of the spin-offs from that, which may be choreography, script writing, songwriting, producing, costume design, creating, set design, all these wonderful, exciting things that you can bring into the performing arts, it's all about what is within you that wants to grow and develop and what is excited, rather than here we have a set thing to do and we're going to do it by gum. And you're going to be this and you're going to follow this and copy this. So I'm not so interested in copying and following. What I love is developing and exploring and experimenting and playing. And from that landscape, you get beautiful, fresh, new, innovative, exciting productions, as well as just the joy and fun of learning in your own unique way. It also means that whoever is slow, whoever's fast, there are endless styles of learning and none of them are right or wrong. You can actually adapt and be that way in this place. For me, it is a kind of a calling. It's like an inner urge to do this. I've always wanted to give children the ability to maintain and nurture their creative, innate nature, that which I would call the spirit, their inner being, that which they brought in with them, rather than the thing that they've learned and been structured by and conditioned by in the paradigm of living on our planet Earth. So for me, it's very beautiful, wonderful, and essential to allow that innate creativity, the spirit of each person, to be able to blossom. And what we see so much in the world around us is that you have all these adults who wake up and realize, oh my God, what did I experience in my childhood? They do their best to clean it all out and to work through it. And for me, it's like, okay, well, yes, you can do that, but why don't we just start with the children so they never have to do that anyway, at any time? Because they have within them the inner strength, this stability, this beautiful, full-blown flower of their spirit, which never wilts, it never dies, it's never crushed. And if there is an environment which is designed to nurture that, to sustain it, to grow it, to culture it, then you don't ever need to go to repairing workshops when you're an adult, because it never got broken in the first place. If we can remind our children of the resilience of the human spirit, well, you take out one of the big steps that we've created in our society, which is break, then mend. You don't have to do that. You just grow. So that's why I love to work with children. That's a kind of a logical thing. But also, of course, children are so pure. They may be conditioned from the moment they enter the womb, but they are still the beings on our planet nearest to source, nearest to the point of creation, nearest to the point of purity of their spirit, of their being. And it's a pleasure and a joy and an honor to work with them. They have this sense of potential and infinite possibility, which they haven't yet had stamped out of them. And that's who I am. And I've always been like that, stubbornly, no matter what people have tried to say to me or do to me. And so, of course, for me, it's lovely, beautiful and natural for me to hang out with other beings of infinite possibility. And those do happen to be children. So I have that two-pronged love of why I'm doing the work. I want children to have an existence on our planet which is actually true and commensurate to their soul, to their inner being. I'm doing my part. For years, I had to work on redeveloping my own personal creativity. I did keep it alive more than most people. I never stopped singing. I sang actually before I spoke. But all through my life I was singing. And then it was at the age of 27 I took it seriously and I became a songwriter, singer-songwriter. Throughout my early life, I did as much as I could of my creative journey. And of course then, academic school and expectation, she's a clever girl, kind of got in the way, and you find yourself dropping the things that really make your heart sing. But I never completely lost them or forgot them. I had children early. I wanted to do that. Also, with that journey of having small children, I was able to be that creative being with them, for them, so that they could stay in that space. It meant that I, again, kept this creative nature alive. And when I had to then go out and earn my money, I was working as a singer-songwriter. I had my own band for 12 years. I was doing all kinds of creative projects, from writing and producing and performing in radio shows. I write children's books. I produce plays. There's all sorts of things that moved around the edges of performing arts for children. But in 2000, I started to actually work with teaching children. And when I say teaching, more about creating an atmosphere and a space, a prepared environment in which they could begin to unfold their own creativity. So I've really been at this game for the last 22 years, but my entire life has never been one that forgot it and forgot its value. My last 15 years of teaching practice have been focused at a very well-reputed school in Britain. It's one of the top primary schools in Britain. I've been the performing arts teacher there. The structure of that place has allowed me to bring in all kinds of elements, from creative drama, which is very much about emotional intelligence, as well as improvisation, all the way to ballet and dance, choreography, songwriting, singing, developing the voice, your own voice rather than a structured patterned voice which goes on top of you. No overlays for me. It's about looking at the individual voice. And the same with acting, that acting for me is a gateway to explore yourself, because you are reflecting back to you through the characters you choose different aspects of yourself you may or may not be comfortable with, or you may want to explore more of. And of course, it's an extraordinary avenue for bringing across all of the elements of emotional intelligence, which is the intelligence we need to live and survive and thrive in our lives. So I've been able to do that at that school. That's my background, really, all of these years and decades of experience, and I've written books on it. So Singing Rainbows is a guide to your voice. Brave Souls, How to Feel Good and Act Better, that's about acting. 2 other books on, there's one on general creativity, which is the Source Energy Handbook to Your Creativity. And then I wrote From Duty to Joy, the handbook of children's 5D learning. I've always been there in this field, and now I'm just offering it in a Saturday school, in a small children's group, which will be in an afternoon, and 2 days of homeschool, where children who are homeschooled can come to my place, to my centre, which is juicy, abundant, colourful, full of the mirth and joy of life, and many resources, creative resources. So these children can actually be with each other in a very creative environment. And of course they can learn and work on projects they're involved in, but they can also interact and have that lovely social interaction that they would miss. That's the only restriction of homeschooling, that social interaction is a little bit trickier. So 2 days of homeschool, a small persons group. And that means, when I say small person, it's really 2 to 4 years old, but it's really more for the 2 to 3 year olds. And so those who haven't yet gone to school. And they can explore being creative, again, in a beautifully prepared environment. So it's all about sounds and movements, working with materials, unstructured materials, which at that age is essential for developing amazing full neural network and interaction with the world. They're my Saturday workshops. That's 5 90-minute sessions, each with a 10-minute break. You can attend all 5 if you are a performing artist and that's your drive and your passion, or you can just come for one of those classes. They're 90 minutes because very often what I find with children's lessons is that there's not enough time for the creative part of it. You have to do the strengthening, whatever skill it is, whether it's singing, whether it's acting, whether it's dancing. You have to do that regularly to keep the condition going. But then you want to have the artistic development beyond that. So 90 minutes is the lesson time that I set with these 10-minute sessions, and of course a lunch. So that's the Saturday course. I also have 3 times a year, they're not residential, but if necessary, it can be arranged that it's residential. I just prefer not to. They're 3-day courses of exploring the performing arts with, of course, a performance at the end. The group will, in its own sort of dynamic, decide who's going to be what. There may be some people who actually don't act. They don't want to act. They want to be the costume designer or the set designer. There may be someone who doesn't want to sing, so they become quite a main role in the acting stream. There may be someone who has this extraordinary talent as a dancer, and so they're not maybe saying very much, but together you weave a beautiful performance from those people who have signed up and attended. There are many different themes to choose from. Whenever I've done this for smaller children, we'll do some sort of mythical themes such as the fairy world, are wonderful for small children to explore. And as you get older, you get a little bit more attached to the real world, but find lovely characters to develop. So we always have a theme. We may take it from a book, Alice in Wonderland, or I love a lot of the Frances Hodgson Burnett books, Michael Ender's books, Momo, The Never-Ending Story. There are certain authors who just do marvellous things, and sometimes we'll take a book, sometimes we just take a theme to create our 3-day workshops. And they're always extraordinary, and the children love them. We don't do them longer than 3 days because you want them to be replenished and not burnt out. So we do those 3 times a year as well. What I'm really looking from you for in support is when you set up this kind of thing, there is a burden of an enormous amount of organisation, an enormous amount of advertising, very careful advertising. I don't like traditional advertising. I like people to come to me because they've heard of me. I like there to be a personal connection. I'm not one of those in-your-face red, black writing and shouting at you. All of that preparation to draw people in, that requires a lot of time, a lot of money and a lot of energy. And then of course the next level of making these courses work so beautifully is that it's not just an empty village hall, it's not just an empty theatre, it's a place which is conceived from the basis of joy and creative development. My love of colour has been forever. That's really who and what I am. But my background in fact is in landscape architecture, 5-year BA honours degree course, which was both here in the UK and Scotland and in America. My bias with that was then shifted as I did my PhD, which was actually in architecture, but all about how children learn and how they relate to the natural environment and how they can establish a relationship of stewardship to the natural environment. Whenever I create a place or a space for an event to happen, it is full of abundant colour in symphony and harmony. It is full of soft and hard, structured and unstructured, full of natural materials. This link to nature, where that is an endless field of possibility and creative inspiration, is completely embedded in every interior and exterior environment. So there's an enormous amount of time and energy goes into preparing that so that you have an activation, a transformational change. It's easy to access your true nature because the environment is reflecting it back to you. So of course all that costs money and time. The investment for that is what I'm looking for help with, so that you can help me do what I do so wonderfully for your children, which is to help them stay vibrant, brilliant, creative, active, conscious, alive in this world that we're in, which we all can acknowledge as adults is pretty strange at the moment. And so now even more than ever, we really need to give our children this leg up and give them the ability to maintain their inner stability, their knowing of who they are, their connection to their true inner being nature. That is what I need the help for. It's to be able to do this work. Generally, education is a very funny thing because we all say that we we need it. Most of us seem to grumble about it, and from the moment that we are sent off from our homes into maybe a kindergarten, a nursery, childminding, then to the school, and then to the senior school, and maybe university or college, all of that is an educational system, and it's something that almost everyone we know has gone through. The life of a teacher is an interesting one, and it varies from school to school. Also, you'll find, if you look at just the salaries as a way of comparing energy and the way we appreciate and value our educational system and our people who work in it, if you compare the salary of a teacher to, say, a solicitor or a doctor, a surveyor, an architect, you'll find it's a tiny, tiny, tiny proportion of what those other professions are paid, because somehow in our society, in our inside-out quality that we've built and maintained unconsciously, but that's because we had certain controlling authorities building this for us, we have come to disvalue whatever we do with children. It's like, oh yes, she's just a nursery teacher or whatever. So the money side of education has been rather skewed, unless perhaps we're talking about one of those big, extraordinarily established ancient British schools, the senior schools. I'm not going to name them. Some of you will know them. It's a funny thing. We have to actually start valuing our educators as well as the education. And so it's no longer a thing you have to do. It's a thing you want to do. And the Speaking House offers the kind of work, the kind of learning that will take you through your life and will not damage you. It will open you. It will strengthen you. So everything you experience with us, you can take with you and grow. And it's incredibly valuable. It's teaching you how to trust yourself, teaching you how to remain stable within conflicting situations, enabling you to access your own inner knowing, your own guidance. And all of this is done through pursuing the path of creativity. Of course, these are the most precious, the most valuable things. And in my mind, it is the time to reverse this strange inside-out quality that we have been experiencing in our world and start to really invest and put our energy where it can truly do good work. And that's why money is needed. That's why I need the money to be able to do this work, because this new paradigm of not spoiling ourselves and then having to recreate ourselves later, this new paradigm of maintaining, nurturing, establishing, building, developing the strength, the beauty and the capacity of each child, this is the new paradigm, and we need to build it, we need to nurture it and look after it. Do please support us.